Right, welcome back to our South Bromsgrove High School DofE YouTube channel. In this clip we're going to look at some options for your menu planning for dinner, including some pudding choices. Remember, as always, we need our food to be high in calories. We need it to be easy to carry, so it needs to be lightweight and in robust packaging. We need to also make sure it doesn't involve any refrigeration, and we need to make sure it's reasonably balanced in terms of the kind of nutrients across there, okay? Making sure we're not relying just on kind of short, simple carbohydrates like sugars and so on, okay? Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get on some pasta, because pasta is going to be a really popular choice with DofE groups at bronze, silver and gold, okay? I'm going to go for around about 250 grams of pasta, okay? And I'm going to pop it into boiling water, and I think that 250 grams of pasta is going to be fine for feeding around about 3 to 4 people, okay? What you don't want to do with your pasta is you don't want to make the mistake of filling your pan with pasta when it's dry before it's been cooked, and then as it cooks it expands and it all boils over, okay? So we're going to keep a bit of an eye on that. I'm going to keep a bit of an eye on the time as well, because the pasta is going to take about 8 minutes to cook, and then I'll run through what I'm going to do with that pasta, okay? Now, one of the options which is probably a bit faster than that is to use a rice meal mixed in with a can, okay? Now, this might be a bit controversial. People might be thinking, well, actually, a can is going to be very heavy to carry. Actually, what we find is that the weight here is in the wet food. It's not actually in the metal of the can. So I'm quite a big fan of carrying a canned meal that's going to be really tasty, okay? It's going to be something that I'm really looking forward to eating when I get back to camp, all right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my can, I'm going to empty it out into a pan on this stove. Pasta's boiling over, let's just take that off there. So I'm going to empty out my canned meal. I've gone for a mixed vegetable curry here, but there are meat options available as well. So you can get like sweet and sour chicken, you can get chicken in white sauce, you can get chili, and all sorts of things, okay? You'd need to probably experiment a bit with the portion sizes, because one can could perhaps do for one very hungry teenager, or maybe you might find that 2 cans could do 3 people, etc. Okay? Now, what are we going to use for our rice option? Again, this might be not very kind of obvious to begin with, but I'm actually going to use microwave rice. The reason for this is because it's pre-cooked, okay? So I don't need to take this rice and kind of like properly cook it for what might take 15 minutes. All I need to do is just squidge it up to break up the lumps in the rice, because it does tend to sort of stick together and clump in here, and then tear it open and squeeze this out into my curry, and then just stir that around. Now, remember, both parts of this meal are already pre-cooked, right? So we actually don't need to worry about the safety side of things here. It would be safe enough to eat even when it's cold, all right? Obviously, it's going to taste a lot better when it's hot. So we just need to literally stir this around until it's warmed up, okay? For me, carrying such a heavy meal is going to be a good choice on day 1 of a long expedition like silver or gold. I wouldn't be carrying such a heavy meal to use on day 3. I've got some other more lightweight options for that, okay? But just in a few minutes, this curry here is going to be just perfect and ready to sort of spoon out and share between the members of your group, okay? All right, so some of the other options then. Pasta's going well, let's just give that a little bit of a stir, okay? Some of the other options include some quite expensive choices, okay? So what I've got here is a dehydrated meal. And this one was probably about £6 or £7. That's a lot of money, really, once you start multiplying that through to several days. But it does have the advantage of having a known amount of energy. This one's 600 kilocalories, and they are quick, okay, to cook. What you have to do is tear open the top, take out the little oxygen scavenging pack there, and then you pour in water until it gets up to the line, okay? I'm just going to take my curry off the off the stove now that that's ready to go, okay? Look at that, amazing. Right, so back to the dehydrated meal. What we need to do with the dehydrated meal, having taken out the oxygen scavenging pad, is we need to pour in boiling water until we get up to the line. So doing this really, really carefully. And then we're going to give it a stir. Now, I have to admit, the first time I saw a long-handled spoon for DofE Expeditions, I thought it was a bit of a gimmick. And then I tried to eat one of these dehydrated pouch meals with an ordinary length spoon, and I found it really, really hard to get to all the way to the bottom. So actually, if you're going to use these dehydrated meals, then having a long-handled spoon actually is quite a good idea. Okay. Right. Once you've stirred it all the way around, you can then zip up the top, okay, to seal it and keep some of the heat in. And we're leaving this for 8 minutes until that's ready. Okay. Right. If you wanted a pre-packaged meal but you didn't want a dehydrated one, maybe you've tried them and they've not really been a big success for you, then one of the other options is to go for a sort of boil in the bag meal, okay? So that's what we've got here. This one is pre-hydrated, so this is a wet meal in there. It's therefore a little bit heavier than the dehydrated one, but again, it kind of tells you exactly how many calories are in it, and they're nice and convenient. And the way that you heat these up is you basically just stand them in the pan of boiling water, okay? Now, that can take quite a long time to cook them that way. So the other option that you can do, and to be honest, this is my preferred option really, is to tear open the top and just pour it out into a pan and then just cook it like we did the curry. The only disadvantage is that you've got to do a little bit of washing up at the end. But if 3 of you in your group have brought along the same flavoured meal, then actually it's a much faster way of cooking it, because you can stir it while it's cooking, and it's going to use less fuel for you. Okay, so those are a couple of pre-packaged options. Right, let's check on my pasta and see how that's going. It's cooking along quite nicely in there, but what I'm going to do is just move it over onto this stove, which I think is going to speed things up a little bit. And let's see how we're getting on with that water. Sometimes when you arrive at camp, before you do your evening meal cooking, you want a bit of a snack, okay? Just something to kind of give you a little bit of a boost. Maybe you've arrived at the camp early, sort of mid-afternoon, and so some of your options for that kind of starter, if you like, are maybe to use a pot noodle, or super noodles, or couscous, right? Now, pot noodles are fine. They're just a bit bulky for what they are. They are quite high in energy. We've got 413 kilocalories in this pot noodle, so that's pretty good. But you're carrying quite a lot of packaging there, okay? Super noodles have probably got a little bit less energy in them, okay? 152 kilocalories, but they're much quicker and easier to cook, and I think also to carry, okay? And then the other option, which is a real favourite of mine, is to bring some couscous. And you can actually cook couscous just by pouring in a little bit of water and leaving it in the sachet for a few minutes, okay? So I'm just going to try and demonstrate that for you. It's really important that you're careful if you're going to try this, because if the water spills everywhere, then there's a risk, obviously, that you'll get burned. So what I'm going to do with this is just carefully pour in a little bit of water, keep my fingers a safe distance away. Now, as is often the case when you're adding water to foods on DofE and you're cooking, you want to add as little water as you think you can get away with. You can always add more water later, but what you can't do is make it less runny if you've added too much water, okay? So right, so we can just leave the couscous like that, just for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then that's just going to be nice to eat straight out of the packet, okay? No need for any washing up. Right, pasta looks like it's pretty much done. So like I say, this is a kind of staple meal on DofE, okay? We are finding lots and lots of students using this. To get the water out of the pasta, I don't have a colander on DofE, obviously, but what I do have is a lid, obviously using a cold lid for a trancher here. And what I need to do is I need to hold the lid just so that the edge of the lid is near to the edge of the pan, and then I can tip the water out, straining the pasta using the cleanest edge of my lid. Okay, so I'm just going to go and do that now, and then we're going to stir in a sauce. Okay, it's fine for it to go back onto the stove just for a moment, and what I'm going to do is just stir in pasta sauce like this, okay, that's going to make me probably my fastest, cheapest option for dinner. Okay, very, very popular with our DofE groups. Okay, you can liven it up a little bit if you wanted to by putting in a few other things in there as well. One of the options, which is perhaps a little surprising, is that you can actually put in some sort of chunks of pepperami. Even though you often buy these chilled salami sausages from the chiller in the supermarkets, if you read the back of the packet before you buy it, you'll often find that they say does not require refrigeration. So you buy it from the chiller, but it doesn't really need to be cold. Okay, it maybe tastes better if it's cold, but it's not going to make you ill. Okay, and it's to do with the way they process the salami sausage. All right, so we've got pasta and tomato sauce. You could even bring along some grated hard cheese if it was just like for the first day or maybe the second day, because that's not going to go off for a couple of days as long as it's hard cheese. Something like Parmesan cheese, that sort of thing. We've got our curry. We've got our dehydrated food. Let's see how this one's getting on in here. Okay, so that's not looking too bad. I mean, I think it doesn't look like a bolognese. Okay, I've got to be honest with you, but it looks okay. All right, I'm going to give it a try. Quite good, to be honest. I'd use one of these on day 2 of silver or day 3 of gold, and the reason for that is because it's really, really light. It's quite expensive. This one's going to be about £6 or £7, but as a meal that you've got to carry for the whole time, for the whole expedition until your final night, having something which is dehydrated is going to be just the job. Okay. So yeah, expensive but lightweight and really, really nutritious, and it's very good, it's very tasty actually. It's not like a home-cooked bolognese, but then you're not expecting that on DofE, are you? Okay? I was really surprised to find this though. This is a dehydrated chocolate mousse, okay? I mean, how good can this be? Again, you've got to take out the little sachet. Let's pour a bit of water in there. Got some boiling water here. And then let's see what a dehydrated chocolate mousse tastes like. I don't know how much water you're supposed to put in. Let's try that much. Let's try and find a spoon that doesn't have bolognese sauce on it. Oh, it smells great. It smells great. And it basically just looks like chocolate goo. But, I mean, you know, that would be fine. Okay? So, we'll leave that for a few minutes. It's alright. And again, the pre-hydrated meals, they come as puddings too, right? So this one is a salted caramel chocolate brownie, okay? Got a lot of calories in it. It's quite heavy though. Remember, that's the disadvantage of these pre-hydrated ones, okay?